So if you do have a pillow or blanket with you, you can just put that to the side and make your way all the way down to your back. And when you get down to your back, you'll start to feel how your body feels. Like you may have just gotten out of bed, or you got out of bed 2 hours ago. But we're just going to check in with the body. So if you're laying down on your back, you're laying down on your back, I want you to just check in with your body. See how your neck and your shoulders feel. Make your way down your body. If your back being arched up off the mat feels very uncomfortable, a great way to make that more comfortable is just to bend your knees. So you can start with your knees bent, completely up to you. Your body is different every day based on what maybe you did yesterday or didn't do for that matter. So just let your body kind of relax here. I'm going to keep my knees bent. My back was a little cranky about that. And then I want you to just gently close your eyes, placing one hand right under your rib cage and one hand smack dab in the middle of your belly. And I want you to just get in touch with that rise and fall of your breathing. You can start to hear sounds through your house. Maybe air across your skin. And just get in touch with the feeling of your back and the back of your head and your feet and your legs on the floor. And just find what anchors you. Is it your breathing? Is it the air? Is it the sound? Is it the sound of my voice? Just let everything get nice and heavy here with your body. Relaxing your hands, your forehead, your eyes, your jaw, your shoulders, your hips and legs. Now just slowly glide those hands off of your belly and reach them next to your hips here. As you take your next breath, we're just going to raise the arms and let the knuckles go back toward the floor behind you. Now I said toward the floor because if your shoulders are really tight, maybe your knuckles never quite touch the floor. You'll feel your back maybe arch a little bit here, and you may even feel your abdomen. Then we're going to release the arms back and let them come down so your palms rest next to your hips. And we'll repeat that, reaching up and back. Maybe your shoulders are very tight, but now they're starting to feel like it feels more comfortable to reach back there. Then reach again, letting the hands come back next to your hips. And again, reaching up. Knuckles maybe graze the mat or floor behind you, and then reach up one last time. Palms coming next to your hips. I'm going to take the knees to bent if your legs are straight. Bring them bent, and then we're going to let the legs just drift over to the right side and then over to the left side. Just kind of windshield wipering those legs side to side. And this is also giving us a little clue about how our hips and the quads feel. So if you go over to one side and it feels kind of cranky and you want to hang out there for a moment, stretching through, I'm feeling this more on this side. So you can just kind of hang out there for a breath or two and then go to the other side. We're just gently and slowly getting that blood and everything circulating while we're warming up gently. If you had a bad night's sleep, it's nice to just go nice and slow. Now, when we come back to center with your knees pointed up toward the ceiling, I'd like you to just reach your arms out to the side so your palms are toward the ceiling now. And let your knees just drift out to the side. You'll feel that inside thigh and your pelvis, and then bring them back together. So we go out to a butterfly pose. And then actively bring the knees back together. And out. And again, if you reach those knees out to the side and it feels like everything's a little bit stiff and you want to hang out there for a couple of breaths, please take your time. Explore what feels better for your body. It may be different than what's needed for mine. And now as we bring the knees back together, let's walk the feet a little wider across the mat and let the knees just kind of collapse toward each other. You can feel those pelvic muscles and your inside thighs kind of working to bring the knees together. And I'd like you to reach your hands straight up out of your shoulder sockets. We're going to reach them so that the right arm crosses as you make an X across your body. Reach around and give yourself a hug. And then open those arms again. And as you make the next X, the left arm is closer to your face. And then just keep repeating that. As your arms go straight, you can feel those muscles. As your arms bend at the elbows, you can start to feel some different things happening, right? And it's different from your right side to your left, as your right arm is closer to your face, and then your left. Stretching through the biceps, shoulders, forearms, really opening your fingers up almost so you can feel the webbing between your fingers. The left arm goes closer to your face here as we reach around and give it a little hug. Now, as we hug ourselves here, I want you to hold this hug and take your gaze to the right. So you're just rotating your head. And then as you take your gaze toward the ceiling, let your gaze go over to the left. Feel the difference in your neck when you go from side to side. Now, as we take our gaze back up to the ceiling, we're going to reach the arms up again. And as the right arm crosses closer to your face, give yourself that hug. And now we'll look to the left. Just check out how your neck and shoulders feel here. Rotating the head back to the ceiling. And then your gaze over to the right. And just let the weight of your head be the thing that stretches here. Right now, as we take our gaze back up toward the ceiling, we're going to release those arms and then take the knees into the body. Crossing your ankles here. We're going to rock up to a seated position. And then you can cross your legs or just put the soles of your feet together, whichever makes you feel more beneficial. I'm going to get a little bit of my extra fluff out of the way back here so I can feel my sit bones really connected to the mat here. And we're going to reach through the sides of our body now. Warming up, still reaching the right arm over. We're going to let the hips stay planted to the mat. Well, we really reach with the trunk, and then that left arm reaches past your ear here. Then take your gaze up to that elbow.
as you place the shoulder back just a little bit more, you feel that teeny tiny little minuscule movement make some change for you. And then look down towards your right hand. As you take your gaze forward, we come up and over. Nice tall position, sliding the left hand now. The right arm comes over. Let's look up at that right elbow as you gently nudge that shoulder back just a little. Feel that extra stretch. And then take your gaze down towards your left hand. Let's do that one more time on each side. Oh, opening up. It's funny how you can go to bed, look down at that right hand, and wake up feeling like you rolled out of a moving train, right? Some mornings it's just like that, up and over. I'm speaking just for myself. I don't know how you feel today, but I really needed this. Good, and as you take your gaze down towards that left hand, we make our way back up, hands to the knees. We're going to continue stretching through the trunk of our body, so embrace the knees, bring your heart toward me, and let's stir up the pot. We'll push off that right side, rounding your back, circling around. Now, if you will apply some gentle pressure on each thigh as you make your way around, you'll feel a little bit in that hip. Maybe in your low back, maybe even in your shoulders. The next time your heart and chin and chest are over your ankles, we're just going to reverse that circle, so gently nudging on that left thigh. Push yourselves around, looking toward your navel, then swirling around, stirring up the pot. Now the next time that chin and chest come forward over the tops of the ankles, we're going to walk the hands out. Now if you can walk them out until your belly rests against your ankles, you're much more flexible than I, but that's neither here nor there. Just listen to your own body. As you can walk your hands as far forward as you can, let your head gently fall down. You're going to look towards your ankles, really stretching through the glutes, the back, all of that into your hips. Really surrender to this little stretch here. Letting the head fall forward, the jaw and face relax. And then very slowly ease your way back up, stacking vertebrae on vertebrae, bringing yourself up to a nice tall seated position. We're going to extend the legs out in front of us. Now you can feel the blood start to circulate into those toes and feet and just your lower legs all together. Give them a little up and down maybe, or wobble back and forth. And then we're going to bend the right knee deeply, taking the left knee bent deeply as well. This is a little pigeon prep, but we're going to use it as part of our warm-up. So your right sole of your foot is resting against your left thigh. You can tuck that left foot right up under your hip if that's available. It can be as far out as here. Totally up to you. Just check in with your body, see how it feels. Now, as we just turn that body just a little over the top of that right thigh, I want you to just walk yourself over the top of that thigh, and with little, I call them piano fingers. We're on the tips of our fingers. We're just going to bend the elbows deeply. Find a place that you really feel a stretch. There it is for me. And then just gently press into the hands and bringing that body up. Now we're just going to do that a few times. Just down, down, down. Keeping the shoulder to hip in this beautiful, strong alignment. Keeping your breathing nice and fluid as you do it. I'm finding myself being able to get just a little deeper on this one. Then as we slowly come on up, we're going to find those arms at a nice full extension and start to walk them over to the right. Now you'll begin to feel those muscles in your waist, in your obliques, maybe into this hip a little. Walk as far as you feel like you can and is comfortable. Feeling a stretch back here in this hip. And let's do the same thing. Go deeper here. And press up. And just go through this a few rounds, seeing how deep you can get. You might be able to touch your chest right to the floor. Again, enjoying that nice fluid breathing. Now as you walk yourself all the way up, we're going to walk the hands in a little. Coming back, just finding that tall position, pressing gently into the right thigh with your right hand. Good. Now as we rock back onto the hips a little bit further, we'll reach that right leg out. Out comes the left. And then we'll just do the same thing on the left side. So left leg bends deeply, right leg bends deeply. Again, right foot coming into that left leg, and right foot behind me. Now, the heel can come as close to your hip as you feel comfortable having it, right? Or it can be out here if you need a little bit more space. As we turn that trunk, we're right over the top of this left leg. And we'll just try to ignore my dog. We're coming over the top of that left leg. Let's then be able to elbows deeply. Maybe you get a little less deep on this side. And then push up. Oh my goodness. This is a practice in patience for me today too. Pushing up. See if you can get any deeper on each of these, and there's no reason to force it. Just listen to what your body has to offer today. And up we come. Now we're going to find that nice tall back again, walking over toward the left. Slowly lower down. Oh boy, this side is really, really tight. So you need that slow warm up, right? Want to be gentle and careful with it. Oh my goodness. Somebody needs to get out of my way. Go on, Chapel. Let's see how deep you can get on this last one. If you can bring your chest closer to the floor. If not, that's okay. We know what we have to work on, right? And then bring yourself up nice and tall. And as you walk yourself back, we come back, gently pressing into that left hip. See how this one feels over here. Sitting up nice and tall. And then we'll extend those legs out. Good. Bending one knee at a time, opening and closing those feet toward each other. We're going to make our way to our all fours. So let's make our way to the knees stacked beneath the hips, hands stacked beneath the shoulders. Elbows can have a little softness here if you like, but let's not dump the belly down right away. We're going to sort of find that engaged shoulder blades. So what does that mean? It means kind of draw the shoulder blades toward each other and the shoulder caps remain away from your ears. So not here, we kind of pull those shoulder blades in and drawing the navel in. Of course, you're going to have a little bit of sway in your back. That makes your spine needs to be a little bit flexible, right? So we can move through full range of motion. But now as we really sink the belly down, the eyes and tailbone come toward the ceiling. See that big difference? And then we tuck that tail, look toward the navel, arching up like a Halloween cat. And again, we're going to start to explore how we can move through this and feel this a little bit differently. If you bring your hands a little closer or go up onto your fingertips, if you look side to side with your head, if when you sink your tail down, you sort of shift your hips side to side, see what benefits you. And find your way moving through this, moving one hand maybe over to one side, and then arching up. Feel free to explore and play around with this because everyone has different experiences, different, you know, if you were sitting all day yesterday, I did a lot of sitting at my screen. Sometimes that can make me feel like my posture is worse the next day, you know. All right, now we'll sink the hips back toward the heels. Let's reach the arms out like you're trying to reach toward the short end of your mat. Really reach, take your gaze just to your thumbs and then let your ears fall between your biceps. Now together as you exhale, let the arms go heavy. As your arms go heavy, your hips get a little closer to the heels, or maybe your hips were already on your heels. You sink in just a little deeper. And feel the rise and fall of your rib cage as you breathe. Your face is nice and relaxed. And then let's slide the hands right underneath those shoulders again. They're going to help us get up to a strong table position. And let's start moving through our practice. We're going to take the hands right underneath the shoulders and curl the toes under. So as you curl the toes under, we're going to kind of press those toes into the mat. Walk your hands back until you rock up onto the ball and toes of your feet. Now, as you take your gaze towards your knees, you can really feel how your back is round here. So let's let it go round, looking towards your knees, and then lift your gaze and flatten that back. You feel that difference, really rounding your shoulders forward. And then as you take your gaze forward, pulling the shoulder blades toward each other, finding that strong, flat back. Good, one more time, we're going to round the nose toward the knees. And as we take our gaze just beyond the fingers and the back engages, send your hips toward the sky. Stretching through those hamstrings, you might bend one knee at a time or both. Walking your hands a little closer toward your feet. Now as we start to lengthen those legs, tailbone toward the sky. You can rock side to side here or back and forth, finding even weight distribution between your toes and your heels. And then let's let the hands come to the elbows and put your head in the box we've created here. Give it a little shift side to side, feeling a stretch through your back and your hamstrings. You can keep a micro bend in your knees this whole time if you like. Then fingertips come back down to the mat. Our gaze comes forward. We lift up the heels, let the hips come down. You're trying my patience today, my darling. All right, eyes to the knees. Lifting the chest, flattening the back. Here we go again. Let it up. Heels to the floor. Good. Walk those fingers close to your toes. Let the head go. Hands to the elbows, head in the box. Now, shifting side to side is not mandatory. If it feels good to shift side to side, you go ahead and give it a little shift. But if not, you just hang out right where you are. Good. Now, as we release the hands, we're going to sweep them back like a reverse swan dive. Interlace your fingers to your low back. Take your gaze forward as we rest the belly across the thighs. Feel this nice strength here. Straighten those arms. Yeah, really push through. Belly resting on there. Now we've got super flat back. Shoulder blades coming toward each other. Then lengthen the legs and see if it's available for you to take your arms off your low back. Yes or no, neither way is wrong or right. Checking in with that body. Now as those hands come down to the low back, we take the interlaced fingers apart, fingertips come to the floor, and down we go. With those heels, let the hips come down to the heels. Good. We have one more little flow here, very short little flow. Hands to the floor, rounding your back, let your shoulder blades away from each other. Deep breath, we take our gaze forward, shoulder blades come toward each other, flattening that back. Lift the tailbone toward the sky. Here we go. Nice stretch. Bending one knee at a time if you like. Fingertips walk back toward the toes. Hands come to the elbows, shifting side to side or staying neutral. Now, as we release the hands from the elbows, I'd like you to push that right hand or fingertips into the floor. If it's not available without a deep bend in your knees, take a deep bend in your knees. Okay? We're going to extend that left arm up toward the sky, or if it's available, just rest it across your low back. Reaching towards your right hip, we're going to bend that right knee. Now take your gaze down to that right hand. Doing that deep stretch in your left leg. Let's bend both knees. Release that left arm. Softening, letting your gaze go toward the mat. Pushing with that left hand toward the floor. Reaching your right arm up toward the sky or resting it across your low back. Straighten your right leg and bend the left knee. And remember, straightening your right leg means just as much as you feel like you can. Notice we take our gaze down to that left hand, release your right hand, lifting the heels, down we come, hips to the heels, make your way down to your knees. Let's take them nice and wide across the mat, thumb toes coming together, send your hips back, reach out for child. As we made our way into our stingy hamstrings today, again, I speak for myself. If your hamstrings are not feeling as tight as mine, feels great to get into this child's pose, kind of opening up the hips a little bit more. Good. Now as we make our way back up, we'll slide the hands under the shoulders, making our way up to table pose. Gonna move my little friend here. And then we'll take a flow through the front side of our body. So we're gonna start with the tops of the feet on the floor. Reach your arms out in front of you and slowly let your thighs bit by bit come to the floor. You're lowering your body using your arms. So your elbows are going to stay nice and close together or to your body. Not your elbows from here wouldn't be touching, but your elbows are going to stay close to that body. Your gaze just out toward the short end of your mat. Lifting your head slightly, let your back and your feet and your strong, firm legs behind you help with this lifting of your chest. And then just apply some gentle pressure into the mat, coming up and hips back toward the heels. Just like a wave, we're going to slide the hands forward, slowly taking the thighs, then the pelvis, then the belly, then the chest, all the way to the hands. And you can move at your own pace here now. Lifting your gaze, finding as much reach as you can, firm, strong feet and legs behind you. Lifting slowly, let the hips go back toward the heels. And again, the gaze comes forward, we sliding the hands, thighs, pelvis, belly, chest, all the way down, up and over. Moving at your own pace. I'm going faster or slower than you like. Just stay with your own tempo. Wherever you are in this little wave, we're going to do this one more time. Now, the next time you find your hips back towards your heels, I'd like you to rest your forehead or the side of your head to the mat and reach your arms back, letting them rest next to your feet, palms toward the ceiling, shoulders rounding. We'll bring the hands right underneath the shoulders, slowly making your way back up to table. You're going to do a little stretching for your forearms and your arms and shoulders all together. So first, let's just open up the fingers right underneath your shoulders. Open your fingers so that each and every finger is as far away from its next finger as possible. Almost like you can feel the webbing between your fingers. And then we're going to place a little bit more pressure into the fingertips. So it's not all the weight of your body isn't all in your heel of your hands. So it's almost like a little suction cup, right? Well, I want you to shift your body so you go just a little bit beyond. So see how my angle is forward, feeling that stretch through your forearms here. And gently back. And then forward, keeping your breath nice and fluid here. Now, when we come back to the center position, I want you to try and reach your hands so that your fingers are pointing toward either the long end of your mat or right back toward your knees. Now, understand that this rotating till your fingertips are pointing toward your knees for some of us is really, really intense. And if it feels bordering on painful, please make it less intense for yourself, okay? And as if on cue, the rain begins. The more intense, we've got a lot of rain over the night. Now we just gently bring the hips back, trying to keep the heels of the hands on the floor. So you see, I can barely move without feeling just a lot of deep stretch here. It doesn't take a lot. We don't have to force it, right? And now when we sit back up, oh my goodness. Open and close those fingers. Feel the blood start to flow into the fingers, and the rest you can circle them around. And I asked you to bring a blanket or a pillow for a reason today, and we're going to work our way up to that. So in our seated position, now you can stay in a kneeling position like this, or if that's, you know, uncomfortable, you can even curl your toes under if that feels better, whatever works, or you can also be in a cross-legged pose. So totally whatever works for you. We're going to bring the right hand straight out and then reach it across your low back and rest it sort of on the shelf, right? Right at that sort of tailbone level and right above your seat. And then we're going to pull the shoulder blades just energetically toward each other, keeping the shoulder caps away from the ears. And right here. And then check in with the midline of your body. If you feel like you're jutting your chest forward, we want to be engaged. We don't want to be forcing that chest forward, just gently pulling the shoulder blades toward each other, stretching that right arm. Now, as we reach that right arm straight up, we're going to take it between the shoulder blades. So for me, just resting right here is fine. If I try to reach further, this starts to happen and my head starts to collapse. So just find what works for you. Your arm is like sort of like a chicken wing straight up in the air. Now let's take the left hand to the floor and just give it a little stretch through your tricep. Face nice and relaxed. And back to center we come, releasing that arm down. Left arm goes back to your low back. Now, my left arm is pretty much permanently a little bit shorter than my right, because I broke my elbow a few years ago, and I pay attention to, you know, there's a different thing going on, and it's nothing to judge or be worried about. It's just different from the other side. Pulling those shoulder blades toward each other, keeping that midline nice and engaged. You can feel a really deep stretch through this shoulder without even moving at all. Now as we reach that left arm up, right between those shoulder blades, mine's just kind of resting on my neck this way because this arm is just a little shorter, and we can start to walk the right hand out, tipping, keeping the face relaxed. Nice stretch through that tricep. And then as we ease our way back up, we can interlace the fingers behind us. Now, there's a few different choices here. You can make this prayer position with your pinkies touching your low back. And for me, it's not
exactly prayer position.
You can see that one of my arms is a little shorter, so that doesn't actually happen, but it's still a really great stretch. So if you can touch from fingertips all the way to the heels of your hands, great. If just grabbing your wrists here works better, that's also a terrific stretch. And just keeping your midline of your body nice and engaged. Now as we release, circle out those hands, walk yourself to the tips of your fingers. We're going to sweep the feet out and make our way to a seated position this way. So this is where your blanket, or if you are using a pillow, comes in handy. So for me, my pillow is gonna, or my blanket is gonna be right at my tailbone. Now, if yours is a little bit shorter, that's totally fine. But what we want is the head to be resting on the blanket as well. So you can see when I go back, my back is fully, like from the back of my head all the way down to my tailbone. I've got just a little bit of height off the floor. Knees are bent. Now I'm going to take my gaze toward the ceiling, reaching the palms up so they're facing each other. Slowly let those elbows release down toward the floor. And then slowly let your hands reach up so the knuckles are resting on the floor. Gives a great stretch across the pectoralis. So we stretch our shoulder and every little nook and cranny. Now, slowly and carefully extend one leg at a time. Once you extend one, just check in with your body, see how that feels. And it feels manageable, slide that other leg out. Now we're going to flex the feet as if you're bringing your toes back towards your shins, really pulling them in. And then together, let's release the toes out to the side. Now you begin to feel that through your belly, a little bit through your pelvis. Now together, we're going to slowly bend our knees, but we're going to keep the soles of the feet together. So as the knees bend, rather than going toward the ceiling, they're going to go toward the side. So you can start with one leg at a time, right? So I can kind of rest my right sole of my foot toward the left leg, feeling like I'm kind of in tree pose, but laying down, fallen tree. And then the other sole of the foot together, really opening up through the front of that body. Now you can start to experiment with what works for your arms. You make an in cactus pose. That's a real stretch for me. You can reach them up overhead. If your arms are hovering over the floor, like mine are, that's going to be uncomfortable. So I'm going to bring mine down just a little. But, you know, move around, see what happens. See what benefits you more. See what makes you feel like, oh, that's amazing. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your belly as you breathe. Good. Now together we're going to close the book that is our legs. We opened a big book. We're going to close them back. Shift our weight over to one side. Doesn't matter which. Slide the blanket out. Oh my goodness. Now you're going to really feel those muscles settle in. So let's just reach that blanket down towards your legs. Tuck one knee at a time into your body. Oh, man. I don't know what happened yesterday. Maybe it was 2 days ago. But, boy, I feel like I've rolled out of a moving train. Let the back all the way to your tailbone be on the floor, and then give yourself a little massage. Pull those knees in nice and close to your body, flexing your feet up toward the sky. Reach up to that instep, or you can take your peace fingers and your big toe, and then let the head come back down. Reaching, see what works for you today with your happy baby. One leg at a time. Close legs, straighten them out, take them out to the side, whatever feels good. Now, as we place those soles of our feet back together, let's take that prone butterfly with our feet on the blanket. Oops. So as your feet are elevated just a little bit, and then you let your knees go out to the side, and now your back is a little bit arched. That's okay. You can put one hand through, right? I have such a big arch in my back, I could, a little child, walk through it, but it feels good to really open up across the chest. So I'm just going to let that happen. And again, you can experiment with what feels good. Maybe giving yourself a hug for your shoulders, reaching overhead, palms out to the side, whatever works. Now, as we close the legs, we're going to close that book. We're going to cross the right leg over the top of the left leg, really firmly squeezing the crease of your right knee over your left thigh. You can rest your hands at your sides here, whatever works. We're going to lift the hips up just a little. See how I'm creating a little air between me and the mat. I'm going to take my hips a little over to the left and let my right leg pull the left leg over to the side. Again, we play with all different parts of your body. Take your gaze to the ceiling, over the left, over the right, arms out to the sides, arms to cactus, arms overhead. Just experiment with what works for you and what feels good. We consistently breathe. You can also experiment with where you have your right leg resting on that thigh. Maybe you pull the sole of the foot forward or back or whatever. That can really make some cool adjustments too. And we'll take that sole of the foot to the mat, rocking back up. We'll uncross those legs, taking the left leg over the top of the right. And again, we lift the hips up just a little, shifting to the right. Now we let the left leg take the right leg over to that left side. This little iliotibial band right here for me is really cranky today. So settling in and breathing comfortably through this pose. takes some real concentration. Definitely tell one side is different from the other on my body. Very slowly ease our knees back up toward the ceiling, shifting your weight back up to center. Now as we uncross those legs, then take a little windshield wiper right back to where we started, right? This is a windshield wiper back and forth, side to side. We are right where we started our practice. And we'll find our way to our final meditation pose. There's another really nice reason to use that blanket, putting it heavily over your body, across your clavicles, down the rest of your body to create a little weight as you lay here. Or if you're going to take your heels out to each subsequent corner of your mat, maybe resting it under your knees feels good, or under your back. I'd like you to find what feels best for your final meditation pose. You can even shift yourself to one side, maybe resting your legs on your blanket. Absolutely up to you. As you find your way to that final relaxation, and look, if you just gently close your eyes. Okay, just see the color of your hair as it points back toward the wall behind you, and maybe even in your mind's eye. You see that color of your hair, the parts of your hair. And just feel your head heavy in the mouth. Picture your forehead completely unwind and relax. Your eyes gently closed. Your face, jaw, neck, shoulders, soft and relaxed. Your arms are heavy from the very tops of your shoulders down past your elbows to your wrists, hands, and fingers. And feel the gentle rise and fall of your breathing. Your hips heavy in the mat. Your legs relaxed. Past your thighs, past your knees, all the way down your shins to your ankles, feet, and toes. As you begin to bring your awareness back to your space, feeling again what grounds you, whether it's the floor or the sound of my voice, sounds in your house, the air across your skin. Let all of those things bring you back to a place that's relaxed, but more energized, and blink the eyes open, shifting your way to your favorite side, whether it's your left or right, doesn't matter. Take a nice big inhale and exhale. You're already beginning to see what the rest of your day is going to look like. Plotting out your action plan, and very gently and carefully make your way up to a seated position. Maybe if you're a little chilly, we can create some warmth with our hands, creating that friction. So your hands get nice and warm. And if you set an intention for your day, maybe we bring that back to mind, right? You maybe got a lot of things planned, or maybe you have absolutely nothing planned, which is amazing. I want one of those days. I look forward to those days. And together we'll take a great big inhale, big exhale, and repeat one more time. Big in, big out. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. I am so grateful you are here. Go on out and make some shit happen, or not, whatever your plan is. Have a great rest of your day. I hope you feel better about everything because you came and practiced. I know I feel better having had you here. Mwah. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
You are very welcome. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Come here, miss. Say hi before you go. Uh-oh, here comes Shuffle. He wants to get in too. You gotta get Shuffle in. There he is. Yeah! That's doggy yoga! Fingers. Until next time.